I think now is the easiest time in history to be a parent. Back in the earlier days, you had to make sure your kid didn't fall off a cliff or get hit by a stray arrow, mauled by a lion, fall victim to dysentery on the Oregon Trail. It was tough to be a parent back then, but now I think it's super easy because you can just give your kid an iPad and let the internet raise them for you, and then get mad when your kid isn't exactly an upstanding citizen and blame everyone but yourself. But for parents that want to be a little more involved in their kids' lives, luckily there are some great departments that are offering invaluable knowledge on how to be the worst possible parent ever. This is coming from the OC Sheriff, who posted this tweet. Do you know how to properly search your child's room? If not, stick around for our first episode of #ParentAware with Sergeant Gunsley. I think there is a 0% chance this guy's name is actually Gunsley. This has to be an alias. It's too fitting. Fucking Sergeant Gunsley. What are you gonna tell me next? That ParentAware episode 2 is hosted by Bill Bazooka? Fucking Paul Danger? Like, goddamn.
I'm Sergeant Brian Gunsley with the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and today I'm going to show you how to search your child's room. The first step is to remove the child, or the teenager in this case, from the room. You don't want them in the room because their protests may distract you from doing a thorough search. Hey pal, gonna need you to leave the room. Thanks, we'll talk later.
This is the oldest teenager of all time. Dude looks like he's going on 40 years old. Like, who is this? Benjamin Button? Jesus Christ, dude's got like a thick 5 o'clock shadow. I like how he's immediately treating his son like a criminal, like, hey pal, I'm gonna need you to get the fuck out of here. I'm surprised he didn't like kick down the door, weapon drawn, like, get on the ground, I'm searching the room. And he just tases him anyway just for the sake of it. Like, you're not gonna interrupt.
It's important to search your child's room every once in a while, like I would say about every 6 months. Unless you suspect that they're using drugs or alcohol, then you're gonna wanna do it more often.
He treats his household like it's boot camp. Alright, champ, it's time for your weekly room inspection. Go report to Corporal Hollow Point and give me 500 push-ups before you eat your green bean casserole. So I don't think I need to explain to you why doing this is a horrible violation of your kid's privacy and is absolutely going to lead to a lot of problems in your relationship with your family. But I think I'll explain it anyway. Anyone who's ever been a kid, which I'm assuming is everyone except this guy, I guess was just created in a lab to be the most generic NPC police officer ever. Fucking Captain America over here, never had a childhood. Anyone who did knows how awful it feels to think that your parents don't trust you. It makes you not trust them, and it makes you resent them.
So what I recommend is to start searching from top to bottom and then left to right. So here I would start searching in this plant and then go across to the right, and then we'll search into whatever containers that are here. I always want to look inside the containers and inspect things thoroughly. See, here we have a container with, looks like a place for someone to hide something, so I'm going to hang on to that. Certainly want to talk about that in a little bit.
What a weird item of interest. It's just an empty bottle. Like, that's super normal. What do you mean you're going to have a talk with them about that? What is that conversation going to look like? Come here, son. Look, I found it. That empty bottle of vitamin gummies. Bet you're using it to store drugs, aren't you? You break my heart. I raised you better than this. Get out of my house.
When it comes to books, you just want to search through all the pages and just see if you see anything. Here we have a picture, it looks like, of a child with a gun to their head. This may indicate that they're thinking about committing suicide. So that's something that we want to talk about with our child.
Yeah, that sounds about par for the course. If my dad was like this, I'd probably have stick figure drawings of a gun to my head as well. If you're the kind of parent that's actually going to follow this advice and routinely kick their kids out of their room so you can thoroughly search it like you're looking for a fucking treasure map, you should go in expecting something like this, some cries for help to let you know that they're miserable. I also really like the background music here, the royalty-free Facebook shit. Really helps elevate the tutorial.
So here we have something. This looks like a scale of some sort. So that could be used by someone who's maybe purchasing drugs or selling drugs. So that's something that's disguised. We'll hang on to that.
Pretty fucking cool scale, but it makes it feel like this whole thing was filmed in 1998. Why the fuck would someone disguise a scale as a PlayStation 1 video game? You draw more attention with that than anything else. Like, that is some old school shit. Obviously, this is all set up for the tutorial here, but I like to imagine it all is real spur of the moment. Like, he just barges into his son's room, get the fuck out, I'm searching for contraband, and this is the result. So, like, in that case, I feel like his son is innocent, and Sergeant Gunsley's framing him, like he's setting him up. This definitely belongs to an older man. There's no way a kid who's selling drugs is disguising their scale as PlayStation 1 Tetris. No chance. But that does seem like something an out-of-touch cop would do to try and bust people undercover. You know, like just parading around. I do love these video games, am I right, kids? We love Tetris and PlayStation, right? Oh! Heroin just fell out. That's super weird. No one's a cop here, right? Like, you guys wouldn't want to buy this, would you?
Looks like a container of some sort. Let me see what's inside. We have hidden in here, we have some, looks like marijuana. So I am going to hang on to this. We're going to have a little talk about that. Some teens use this to get high. They can use this as a huffing device. So if you have dust off or any type of computer duster in the room, we want to remove that because that could be used as something dangerous and that could be deadly.
Imagine Sergeant Gunsley just hits a mean whippet on camera. Kids use this to get high. And so do I. That'd be fucking great. Now, this is the first thing he's done that seems reasonable to me. You know, keyboard cleaner is very dangerous. You don't want that anywhere around your kids. And I just don't think he went far enough because there's a window right there. That's extremely dangerous. His kid at any moment could throw himself through that window and kill himself. So I think he needed to put some bars on the window to keep them safe and maybe even pad the walls a little bit because we don't want him to like hit the wall kind of hard and hurt himself. Just, I think we should start taking a little more inspiration from the isolation units at prison in order to keep our kids safe. If your first thought upon going into your kid's room and seeing keyboard cleaner is, oh my god, they must be using this to get high, then you have already utterly failed as a parent and something has gone awry.
And also, it's very important to be respectful of the child's property.
Yeah, Sergeant Gunsley, very respectful. He's over here acting like Mr. Krabs on the panty raid, just going through all of like his boxers and shit, like looking for anything in his pockets. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of is, wow, look at how delicate he's being.
Here we have some more clothing. Looks like everything's okay there. Oh, I have a pipe hidden inside some socks. Ajax, I don't know why this would be in his room, so I would inspect that a little better. In fact, here we have another container that we will talk to him about. And certainly you want to collect all these items. They shouldn't have them in their room.
Good lord, who's his son? Cobra Commander? What's he gonna pull out next? A golden AK-47 from under his bed? He's really hit the jackpot here.
And here I have a couple of little baggies. It looks like they may have had some drugs in them or something at some point. So that's another indicator.
In the pursuit of locating drugs in his son's room, no price is too high. Sergeant Gunsley even starts tugging on his son's crusty cum sock just to look for more clues of drugs. He's like Scooby-Doo, but really gross.
So this looks like it might be something. I'm familiar with this as a container. So this is something that people can buy online, these hidden compartments. So as you can see, it has liquid above and below, but the container, it's a false container in the middle that people can hide things in there.
This part really just felt like an ad for that Mountain Dew secret container there. That shit looked awesome. And Officer Gunsley comes in hot. He's like, yeah, you can find this online. And then I half expected him to drop a link to his own blog. Like, yeah, you can find this online at gunsleycrafts.com if you want to purchase one.
Journals are good to go through. As a parent, you have every right to search your child's room. There is no legal problem with that. So be sure to take advantage of that and search your child's room while they're under the age of 18. Here, we just want to take a look through the journal and just see if there's anything suspicious. And here's a page where it looks like they're drawing pictures of marijuana references on here.
If you have to be reassured that what you're doing isn't technically illegal, then it's probably very immoral, and you're not exactly the hero in the story. But to be fair, we were able to locate some crayon doodles of weed in a journal, so really the ends justify the means, and now we know our son is not only a criminal, but an extremely untalented one when it comes to art.
And this is a highlighter, which appears to be a highlighter, but this is something that can be purchased online, and what it is a pipe. And it just hides within the highlighter.
Nothing gets past the keen eyes of Officer Gunsley. The man's omniscient. Not even the Inspector Gadget crack pipe was enough to get by him. What another cool little gadget, which he again mentions you can find online, which to me just feels like he's advertising it, to be fair. But goddamn, that would be like the last thing I suspect to be like a fucking highlighter right in the trash. I wouldn't think to like go to the secret ass end of it and look for a crack pipe, fucking go-go gadget crack pipe, and somehow he knows about it. God damn, he's too good.
It's very important to conduct a safety search like this because you want to know whether or not they're using drugs. Best way to prevent adult addiction is to intervene early when they're young. So this is the time to prevent a lifelong struggle with addiction.
And create a lifelong resentment of you, their parents. This also isn't going to prevent a struggle with addiction. This may only reinforce an addiction. This is just an all-around horrible idea for parents everywhere. Yeah, thanks Orange County Sheriff, and thank you Officer Gunsley for showing us exactly how to be the worst fucking dad that you can be. That's it. See ya. For a long time I've mentioned that parents of famous children, whether it be child actors or TikTok stars, YouTubers, whatever, are usually just some of the worst parents on the planet. Just straight up awful. You just hear time and time again about how these parents lead their kids down destructive paths in order to capitalize on their fame. A great example of this is recently from Jeanette McCurdy, who played Sam in iCarly. She released a memoir called I'm Glad My Mom Died, and in it she documents a history of abuse from her mother. As well as Nickelodeon, she talks about some awful shit Nickelodeon did to her, and her mom's response to it was things like, "That's just the price of showbiz. You know, you gotta shake it off. This is what it means to be famous. All the girls would love to be in the position you're in. Don't be so ungrateful." Just horrible things. The mom was well aware of everything that Nickelodeon was doing to her daughter and didn't care. In fact, even piled it on by calling her names and doing other horrible shit. So she just sounds like Shao Kahn. And I know a lot of people were upset with the title of the book. It's kind of aggressive. I'm Glad My Mom Died. Not exactly a Dr. Seuss book title. But I think most people would be somewhat relieved when the boogeyman in their life passes. So I understand where the name is coming from after reading some of it. I haven't finished it, but it's really interesting and very fucking sad. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it ties into a topic that I want to talk about today that I just learned about. I'm sure all of you have heard of the name Addison Rae by now. She's one of the biggest stars on TikTok, and she's gotten so famous that it extends well beyond TikTok. So even if you're not big on the platform like me, you still at least know her name. Well, her dad is a fucking weirdo, and he has torn apart their family for the sake of his own clout chasing.
Can I get a
That's someone's father. That's a 46-year-old man posting some fine, distilled, twice folded over, double caked up cringe on Maine. This is Addison Rae's dad. And he, of course, did what every other TikTok parent does. He made his own account. He has like 5.4 million followers. And he threw away his entire family in order to try and make money off of his daughter's name and become famous himself. But not only that, he used his pseudo-celebrity status of being the parent of a famous person to allegedly flirt with 19 and 20-year-olds. He even was having a 5-month affair here with a girl that's less than half his age. He allegedly cheated on his wife multiple times, and they eventually got a divorce. He also has 2 other sons, which I can't imagine how awful this situation must be for the whole family, but them in particular, since they're still super young and obviously in tune with social media, they're seeing all of the unhinged, wild shit their father's doing, and it has to be soul-crushing. I feel so terrible for the entire family, and it's gotten so bad they've sounded the DEFCON alert system. Almost every TikTok influencer in the space has told at least one story about Monty Lopez being creepy to them. They need like a restraining order or something where Monty Lopez can't be within 5 miles of a TikTok influencer because he sniffs this shit out like a goddamn animal. He's got like a spidey sense for it. He just gets this tingle and shows up to every TikTok party imaginable by himself. He doesn't go with Addison Rae or anything. He goes solo, which already is a giant red flag. There's nothing wrong with TikTok stars' parents being involved in their life or even in their videos. Like, Addison Rae made a ton of videos with her mom and dad and brothers, and that's totally fine, wholesome, whatever. But it gets to a point where it's uncomfortable when the dad is just going to all these parties by himself without the actual star of the family there, because now he's got it in his disillusioned, brainwashed mind that he's the star. So he goes there and allegedly hits on the 19 and 20-year-old influencers there, and everyone's uncomfortable. There's a ton of videos of him at these parties, like one where he's handing out roses to some of the girls there. There's a lot of footage that makes it just seem like Bigfoot sightings. They'll like circle in a red circle, like Monty Lopez in the background, like being weird with a TikToker. It's so weird. It's like found footage, you know, but it's not blurry. It's fucking caught in 4K being creepy. He also starts beef with these young women. Like, he started shitting on Tana Mojo. I'm not going to bring up any of these clips because the clips themselves aren't very entertaining or interesting. It's the story itself that's interesting and sad. So he posted a TikTok saying, "Do you think Tana Mojo's fucked more than 300 dudes or less than 300 dudes?" To which Tana responds by showing a ton of receipts about him trying to, like, hook up with her or, like, trying to connect with her, as well as telling stories about how unbelievably weird he is to all the other TikTok stars. There's also a video of him FaceTiming a 19-year-old, like, really late at night in the car. It's just very yucky stuff. And this is just another perfect example of how awful a lot of parents are for child stars. Because I think a lot of them, like Monty Lopez, treat their children as props for their own success. So Addison Rae gets super famous. Monty Lopez weasels his way into some of the videos, makes his own social media accounts, which get popular because he's the dad of one of the biggest stars on the platform, and now it's gone to his head. He wiped his ass with his whole family, divorced his wife, and now just tries to fuck young women and try and become a wealthy TikTok star himself. Just another tragic story of a child star whose dad is absolute vile filth. There's nothing that Addison Rae's mother's done that I've found that's distasteful or bad or anything like that. I want to make it clear. It's not her whole family, it's just her dad. But the topic itself that I'm focusing on is just how awful a lot of these parents can be. In this case, the parent is Monty. From everything I've seen, Addison Rae's mom hasn't done anything wrong or anything. She seems very wholesome. And in fact, the reason why Monty Lopez wants to fight Young Gravy is because Young Gravy has been very public about wanting to be with Addison Rae's mom, Sherry. And Sherry's even teased back about them going on, like, dates and shit. So Young Gravy might fuck Addison Rae's mom, and it makes Monty Lopez uncomfortable. I don't know the whole lore behind all that, but Monty Lopez sucks. Just another sad case of a shitty parent using their kids to further their own agenda no matter what the cost. Also, big shout out to Monty. I'd like to add one more thing to this. This fucking parasite claims videos that show clips of him embarrassing himself. His whole TikTok page is just his worst moments as a human being displayed. This guy has no self-awareness. Every single video he posts on there is a video that any sane person would want deleted and scrubbed from the internet forever. Yet he proudly posts. And I can't show any of them because he claims the videos where people are insulting him for it. So this absolute insufferable douchebag anus still has the audacity to try and somehow fight for his public reputation despite doing everything possible to sink to the lowest depths of hell to be the giant scumbag. He blows my mind. He's all about, like, the grind and money, so he takes the absolute most revolting approaches to it by copyright claiming videos that use some of his clips to try and take the ad revenue from it or whatever. It's so wild to me. I was reading a bit about it, and just when I thought he couldn't get any worse, I learned that he was copyright claiming shit. A YouTuber named Dumpy even mentioned that he had to pitch up some of the videos because Monty kept claiming it. It's fucking silly. This guy is just an absolute massive clown, and I feel so sorry for his entire family. I can't imagine he was a great father growing up, and he's only getting worse. Of course, I'm making a giant assumption. Maybe he was a fine father figure who got corrupted once his family or once his daughter got famous. I couldn't tell you, but this guy sucks. He's weird, creepy, and what he's done to his family is unforgivable. That's really about it. So yeah. Alright, everybody, stand back. I've got my whining diaper on, and I'm about to have an accident. I have a huge pet peeve I've talked about a lot on this channel, and that's parents that expect the internet to raise their kids for them, and then getting outraged when the internet doesn't raise them the way they want to, or if their kid finds something that they didn't approve of, even though they were completely absent in the child's life and just leaving them unsupervised to wander the World Wide Web cyberspace by themselves. There are a few things that make me as upset as when these parents all start having this temper tantrum like, why isn't YouTube doing more to protect our children from seeing videos with bad words in it? My kid just watched something where a guy said fuck while playing Roblox. This has gotta stop. And it's like the solution is super simple, just be a fucking parent. Don't just give them an iPad and walk away and consider your job as a parent done. It's always just extremely frustrating. But today I was reading some things that really grew my pet peeve to a broader scale. It started slapping new things together on top of it like a Megazord and Power Rangers coming together. So I think overall my huge issue here is just bad parents. So there's a lot of commotion and hubbub on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook, the usual suspects, about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 being way too violent, dark, and disturbing for the PG-13 rating, saying they pushed it too far. And it also apparently has the MCU's first fuck, which I didn't know. I mean, I knew it was in the movie. There's a scene where Chris Pratt, with his potty mouth, says some foul language, dropping the F-bomb, but I didn't know that was the first time in MCU history, so they all collectively lost their goddamn minds about it. Just all this steam coming out of their ears and making these super heated and emotional cringe TikToks about the situation, saying that it's evil and this should have been an R-rated film. It really pushed the PG-13 rating way too far. And they started issuing these PSAs and warning like, don't bring children to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's too much for them. It's gonna scar them and traumatize them for life. It's almost like they were doing some kind of like air raid siren, like making sure all the neighborhood knew, like, hey, watch out, there's a dangerous person over there, we gotta avoid him at all costs. Like, they were going hog wild with it. And speaking of going hog wild, I recommend going hog wild with today's sponsor, Opera GX. Big thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring today's video. Opera GX is the best browser in the entire world. I've said that a million times now. I made the switch from Chrome to Opera a few years ago and I've never looked back. It is just far superior. It doesn't, hog all your resources. I have my own mod in Opera GX which changes the wallpaper, and it also comes with its own custom theme and sounds, so when you hover over things like the speed dial, it'll change the sound, which you can toggle on or off if you want to. But it also has opening and closing sounds associated with it. Baby! So yeah, it's just a wild and wacky fun thing. There's a huge selection of mods for Opera GX at the Opera GX store. Plus, you can also get all of my latest uploads in the GX Corner, which is available through the dedicated link. It's also a seamless transition from your current browser to Opera GX with the quick import feature. It'll take all of your settings, your browser history, cookies, all of that, and bring it right over to Opera without any headache, and as well as extensions, because Google Chrome extensions are compatible with Opera GX, and Opera GX has its own extension store as well. So it's all just a very easy thing to switch to, and is absolutely worth making the switch because Opera GX is the far superior browsing experience. If you're interested in getting started with the Opera GX for free, click the link in the description below. Now, I understand the MCU's Weenie Hut Jr. mode, and they all carry PG-13 ratings, but that's meant nothing. It's really been completely meaningless, more meaningless than the WinRAR free trial warning. So, I understand kids have been watching the MCU. In fact, most of those movies lean into that demographic, like trying to cater to actual children, the ones that are in the theater clutching their action figure in suspense, watching, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. All of these films have been suitable for, actual 6-year-olds. I get that. But they do still have a PG-13 rating, meaning that they don't recommend children under the age of 13 see them because it might be inappropriate for them. So you can't exactly be upset and shaking your fist when one does roll around that is actually probably not suitable for kids under 13, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Someone made a really great meme summing this up because it's embarrassing even talking about it this way because the movie's not that fucking intense. You're not going to go in there and leave with PTSD. I can't find the tweet, but it's the SpongeBob roller coaster meme here, and it was like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 PG-13 debate summed up. And it's obviously just poking fun at the people that are freaking out about the movie being super intense, even though in reality, it's not. Yes, it is darker, and it is a more edgier MCU movie. It does deal with heavy themes like animal abuse, which is, you know, definitely a first for the MCU. It's the first fuck and the first ASPCA commercial, really. And it also, of course, does have a bit of gore. There's a scene where a guy gets literally vaporized, and then they show like his corpse that's still charred and like pieces of him are falling off. And a dude's face does get mauled, like his whole face gets peeled off in an animal attack. So they do show that, like his bloody, disfigured face. But you know, aside from that, it's really it's not something that I think anyone that's 13 and above is going to be like gasping and puking their brains out at. It didn't do anything that like pushed the PG-13 boundary. It played by all of the rules in there. It used its one fuck and it used it pretty well. And it only had a couple of scenes where it's like, that's kind of dark. It wasn't anything that was like crazy over the top. All of this is just such worthless controversy over nothing. Just more things to get mad about for no fucking reason other than you're a bad parent who didn't take any level of responsibility here. It's the same energy as when a parent gets mad that they bought their kid an M-rated game and it's a little too bloody or it has some heavier themes that their child wasn't ready for. Your fault for buying them the M-rated game. Pay attention to the ratings because they are there for a reason. It's just super weird with modern parenting, and this is getting off on a bit of a tangent. I apologize for that, but it's related. You know, this isn't just coming out of fucking nowhere here. We're not fighting ghosts or anything. It's on topic. The parents will just sit their kids down in front of the iPad, just let them use the internet, and just have them be raised that way, or give them like some general entertainment franchises and have them raise their kid as well, like teach them the morals, and the parents are very hands-off, but then still feel like they have the right to complain when it wasn't done the exact way they wanted to, or if something went awry and the kid, you know, saw a video online that wasn't appropriate for them. It is, again, your fault. You did that. But now, parents don't want to really raise their kids, so they're asking, like, the government to step in and, like, censor shit on the internet that they feel is dangerous to kids for if they see it. And it's like, well, why do you want the government to come do that for you? Just be a parent, make sure the kid doesn't see anything they're not supposed to. You're supposed to be there monitoring your fucking toddler. So why are you asking Big Daddy, Big Brother Eye in the Sky to come in, micromanage everything in the world in order to cater to your kid and your lack of parenting? Like, just be more present in their life in order to make sure that they're not just scrolling through TikTok mindlessly for 12 hours a day, rotting their fucking brain and ruining their attention span. It just makes me upset that the first thing that happens in a case, and not so much with Guardians of the Galaxy, this is more about like the general internet. The first thing that happens is the parents get upset, like, oh, my kid was looking for tutorials on YouTube and a bad actor popped up, so now I'm suing YouTube and demanding censorship on the platform because what if another child sees this? Well, it's like, why not just be there when your kid's on the internet, so that way when you recognize that there's a video that isn't appropriate, is in the algorithm, you can make sure they don't click on it. That's the whole point of being a parent with a toddler that you are raising. You're supposed to be raising them, not having the internet do it for you. And I just don't like how the first line of defense is always to start complaining to like a higher authority to change something in order to cater to your bad parenting and lack thereof parenting. It's always so fucking frustrating. And it also happens a lot with video games with like M ratings. Like, why is this game M? It should be adults only. I bought this for my 7-year-old and it's way too bloody. What the fuck is this? This should be only adults. War crimes? Oh my god. Adults only. I beg of you. Please. Do something about the madness. I don't know. I just needed to whine now too. Now I'm crying like one of their toddlers here who just saw a Finger Family video that went off the rails. It's just something that this Guardians of the Galaxy 3 debate has once again sparked a rage inside of me with, because I just wish parents would stop delegating that responsibility. The most important job of a parent is to raise a kid, and I wish they'd stop giving that to complete fucking strangers on the internet, or just the general expectation that everything and everyone in the world has to cater to them and the safety of their child when they don't feel like being there for them. So everything's got to be squeaky clean and sterilized with the bumpers and water wingies on it. So that way it can be completely safe in case a kid happens to see all the content. When really all of the issues get solved if the parent just does a good job parenting, or even attempts to be a parent and present. Like, I just hate that everything has the expectation that it has to be child friendly, when there is things that are just not made for kids. And in this case, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 13 is not made for actual children this time around, which I also think is a first in the MCU. This is definitely one that is more for, like, teenagers and above. So, Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's it. So yeah. Today we're going to be talking about a pure evil YouTuber that was just arrested for some truly heinous stuff. This is not a goofy topic at all. This is going to take that smile off of your face faster than if you had watched a James Corden clip. This is the story about Ruby Frank of the very popular parental advice slash parenting blogger slash family YouTube channel 8 Passengers, which is already a really creepy name, by the way. 8 Passengers does sound like some kind of cult. 8 Passengers sounds like the title to a horror movie. And unfortunately, that's not far off because the woman behind this YouTube channel, Ruby Frank, is basically a monster out of a horror film. Ruby Frank and her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, were arrested this week, and they're being charged with 6 counts of child abuse. Now, Ruby wasn't alone with the 8 Passengers YouTube channel. Her husband, Kevin, was also prominently featured in there as well. But for some reason, he's not mentioned in any of this right now, aside from a couple of mentions that he's just trying to keep the family together and help the children through this difficult time with Ruby being arrested. But I can't imagine a world where Kevin was somehow oblivious to all of the abuse the children suffered in that household. There's no way Kevin didn't know what was happening. Unless he's an absolute fucking lobotomite zombie, there's no way he didn't know what the children are being subjected to. I just can't imagine a single multiverse possibility that Kevin is squeaky clean in this situation, just totally innocent, had no idea what was happening to the kids in that house. Especially considering in 2020, Kevin was front and center fighting on the front lines to defend himself and his wife against abuse allegations, defending their parental style. I'll go into a bit more detail on that situation a bit towards the end of the video, but basically, some viewers were really concerned for the safety of the children based on what was being presented in some of the 8 Passengers videos, as well as what was being discussed, such as taking away one of the kids' food privileges, as well as one of the kids' bedroom privileges, and eventually they tried to get CPS involved, and CPS did get loosely involved, but the whole time Kevin was defending the actions that they had been taking with their parenting. So like, I don't believe that he didn't know about all of the abuse that was being suffered in that household by the children. But since right now it's only Ruby and Jody who have been arrested, I'll focus on them. They go over some of the stories and videos that she would proudly post on her channel, where she just openly admits, proudly, almost bragging, about torturing her children. She built a reputation as being a strict parent with a strict parental style, but strict is not the right word for it. This isn't like some kind of teacher that's like, hey class, settle down, no fishy business, we got work to do here. And this isn't even strict like, you know, your fucking basic training drill sergeant or anything. This, the way she treats her children is like the way prisoners are treated at Guantanamo Bay. She fucking posted a video where she was laughing about not feeding her daughter any food because she was punishing her. And she even said that she hopes nobody gives her daughter any food because if she did, then the lesson wouldn't be learned. She was starving her daughter as a means of punishment. And it only gets worse. I learned about this on stream, so I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the clips and go over some of the stories that were shared. I think it's important to mention that this was not some small obscure channel. The content they were posting wasn't just being banished to the shadow realm immediately with no eyes ever being on it, no one ever seeing it. This was a huge channel. 8 Passengers had 2.5 million subscribers. I know it's become somewhat of a trend in journalism to try and like clickbait headlines with things like famous TikToker arrested for DUI and jiggling butt cheeks to Doja Cat Say So on the side of the road. And you read that and it's very eye-catching because it's like famous TikToker, oh shit, well who was it? And then you'll read the person's name in the article about the crime and then you'll check their TikTok page and it turns out they have 50 followers and all they do is speculate on anime power levels and it's like, well, not exactly a famous TikToker, but it's 2023 so everyone has some kind of social media presence and journalists will oftentimes just connect it to that. So famous TikToker does this or famous Twitter shitposter does that, even though they're not exactly a famous TikToker or this and that. But in this case, it really is a famous YouTuber, a very large YouTube channel that gave tons of parental advice for a very long time, had a very successful family vlog, and then even went on with Jody Hildebrandt to start doing life coaching and general life advice. All the while, she'd been abusing her children the entire fucking time. I don't know, there's something about that picture that's super eerie. It reminds me of something out of like Midsummer. A Utah mother known for chronicling her strict parenting style was arrested after one of her children ran to a neighbor's house seeking help. Her channel name was 8 Passengers. They had 2.2 million subscribers. Ms. Frank hosted the now-defunct YouTube channel 8 Passengers, where she posted videos about her parenting approach with her 6 children, including refusing them food as a form of punishment. Wait, and she did this on
and
YouTube?
My kids are literally starving. I hesitate to say this because it's going to sound like I'm like a mean barbarian, but I told the kids, I said, I'm not even going to let you eat breakfast until you get your chores done.
The red flags were all there. She was hiding in plain sight. That's actual torture. You can't do that. Miss Frank and Miss Hildebrandt were each charged on Friday with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse, according to the Washington County Attorney's Office. Each count carries a maximum sentence of 15 years in prison and a fine up to $10,000. According to the affidavit, Miss Frank's 12-year-old son, identified as RF, climbed out of a window of Miss Hildebrandt's home and went to a neighbor's house on Wednesday morning asking for food and water. The child had duct tape on his ankles and wrists, as well as open wounds. He appeared to be emaciated and malnourished. This is some pure evil shit. The neighbor called the police, who then found Miss Frank's 10-year-old daughter, Eve, at Miss Hildebrandt's. She also appeared to be malnourished, the affidavit said. Both children were taken to the hospital. The boy was placed on a medical hold due to his deep lacerations from being tied up with rope and from his malnourishment, according to the affidavit. Oh my god. At one point, Miss Frank had 2.5 million subscribers to her channel, following the lives of her 6 children. In 2020, Chad Frank, then 15, told YouTube viewers in one family video that he had been sleeping on a beanbag for months and that he had lost his bedroom after playing a prank on his little brother. How did she get away with it for so long? If this was literally in their YouTube video. She, on camera in her TikTok or whatever, said that she denies her children food as a form of punishment, and then apparently one of the kids also revealed that he had lost bedroom privileges for months after playing a prank. How? How did this persist? This should have went straight to prison. Do not pass go. In one video recorded by Miss Frank and reposted to TikTok, she said her daughter Eve's teacher had called her to say Eve had come to school without lunch. Miss Frank said the teacher was uncomfortable with her being hungry, but that Eve was responsible for making her own lunch, and that the natural outcome is she is just going to be hungry. Hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch, because then she's not going to learn from it. And this is all on video. She said this on video. How was CPS not alerted sooner? Oh, and apparently there was even a bunch of like petitions from the community to try and get them taken down because it was actual evidence of child abuse. But it looks like none of that was taken seriously. We've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this, and so glad they finally decided to step up. Kids are safe, but there's a long road ahead. Oh, this was one of the children. Sherry Frank, now a junior at BYU, posted about her mother's arrest on Instagram saying justice is being served. So one of the kids was trying to alert CPS and the police and they didn't do anything? How would you not trust one of the victims of it? Especially when there's so much documented evidence on their own fucking YouTube channel. Now, I mentioned on stream how surprising it was that this hadn't happened sooner when she openly posted content about some of the abuse she was inflicting upon her children. And it turns out a lot of the community that was aware of this channel was actively trying to get CPS involved, especially when it came to that beanbag incident where one of the children made it clear that they had been sleeping on a beanbag for an extended period of time because they had lost their bedroom due to that prank that they had played on one of the siblings. So CPS did get loosely involved at some point, but Ruby was somehow able to like brush them off and nothing came from it somehow, which blows my mind because This isn't one of those situations with hindsight being 2020. This isn't one of those things where you can just say, man, if we only knew then what we know now, we could have really helped them. Because this is so clear cut. Like, this should have been a no-brainer that something was wrong. For an authority figure to look at any of these videos, it should have been a massive, alarming situation. Fucking sirens should have been blaring. The second that Ruby was proudly gloating, wiggling her finger, celebrating her incredible parenting of just depriving her children of food as a punishment, that should have been enough to get authorities involved and learn about what was actually happening here with the Ruby Frank household. It's super infuriating that this went on for as long as it did, when a lot of people did keep trying to push this forward to CPS to get them to take action, knowing that something was wrong and knowing what Ruby was posting about and saying was not okay. It's not strict parenting, it's actual abuse. By every possible definition. This is not something where it's like, builds character, toughen up, sport, rub some dirt in it. You know, you're not getting breakfast. In fact, you're also not getting your bedroom. It's going to put some hair on your chest. You're going to learn something today. You know, it's not anything like that. It's fucking abuse. This isn't parenting. I can't believe that it went on for so long. I'm happy now finally something is being done, but I feel fucking horrible for the kids in this situation that they'd been let down not only by the person that's supposed to care for them more than anyone else in the world, their mother, but they were also let down by the authorities that are supposed to be trying to help them in an emergency situation. It shouldn't have taken this long. Ruby's sisters also have hundreds of thousands of followers, so they posted an Instagram statement that said, "For the last 3 years, we have kept quiet on the subject of our sister Ruby Frank for the sake of her children. Behind the public scene, we have done everything we could to try and make sure the kids were safe. We wouldn't feel right about moving forward with regular content without addressing the most recent events. Once we do, we will not be commenting on it further. Ruby was arrested, which needed to happen. Jody was arrested, which needed to happen. The kids are now safe, which is the number one priority." I've just got to say, that statement of "we kept quiet for the last 3 years for the sake of the children" doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because keeping quiet wasn't helping the children. They were being abused, and if you were aware of that, how the fuck would being quiet somehow help them? How is that doing everything you can behind the scenes to keep them safe? That's doing nothing. That is literally the Simpsons meme of "we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas." Now, I guess it's possible they didn't know the extent of the abuse that the children were suffering, but even still, if you were aware of children being abused in any capacity, you should have been doing everything in your power to get the kids out of that situation. Being quiet doesn't get them out of the situation. That doesn't do anything to actually save them or keep them safe. You should have made a lot of noise and kept going to authorities over and over again, gathering as much evidence as possible to try and help those kids. And maybe they were. Like, this is, again, just a very short statement, so maybe they were. But them saying that they kept quiet for 3 years to keep them safe, it doesn't compute. Because that's not keeping the kids safe, that's keeping them locked in that prison with the monster. Now, as was mentioned by one of the daughters, there was a lot of attempts to get police and CPS involved that just didn't work. So it is possible that perhaps the sisters here were actively trying to do that and kept trying to get authorities involved unsuccessfully. It's just that saying you kept quiet for 3 years it really isn't clicking with me. I don't know why you would be quiet for 3 years if you were actively working to keep the kids safe. Let's imagine that one of the kids wasn't lucky enough to break free and escape through a window and get help from someone nearby. They'd still be tied up right now in that house, and you would still be being quiet. This fucking ridiculous silence is golden strategy didn't help the kids. The only person it helped was your sister, because it allowed her to keep abusing those children for 3 more years. And the only reason this even came crumbling down and she finally got arrested is because one of them broke free, covered in deep lacerations, and was able to get help so they could all be saved. Had that not happened, you would still be quiet and those kids would still be suffering. I know I'm getting pretty heated here, but this story is just infuriatingly evil. I am happy that Ruby and Jody have been arrested. I hope they get the absolute maximum sentence here. But I do still think there's other people that knew what was happening in that household that should also face very severe punishment for allowing that to happen and continue happening for as long as it did. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this. That's about it. So yeah. This is a bit of an older story I want to cover today, but it's one that I still think of from time to time because of its absurdity. It's vintage. 2021, which in internet years is prehistoric basically. It's fallen out of everyone's consciousness, and I need to do my due diligence to put it back, because man oh man is it a weird one. So let's dive in. It all started in early 2021 when a young teenage girl started to receive really mean text messages from an anonymous troll, and she was getting cyberbullied through these messages for quite some time. Her boyfriend then started to get the same messages. They were extremely personal, they were extremely nasty, constantly telling her to kill herself, this and that. And the mother got really upset at this because obviously, who wouldn't? Her daughter is being harassed by some weirdo degenerate. As I imagine any good caring parent would do, they see this kind of behavior and they start rolling up their sleeves, giving them one of these, why I oughta when I find who's behind this. So she starts to launch an investigation and work collaboratively with authorities to find the culprit. Who's behind this? Could this be the work of the infamous hacker known as 4chan? And they went on a hunt to track this person down because it didn't stop, and it was tons of messages, hundreds of messages, over a year's worth of harassment and 349 pages worth of DMs with this shit. And eventually the FBI got involved in this case to figure out who's doing this because it was so personal and so targeted and mean that they really wanted to figure it out. And this is all attacking a minor, too. So it was like stalking a minor, just harassing, unrelenting. And eventually the investigation concludes that it was the mother that was sending these text messages. She was running it all through a VPN to try and avoid being tracked down. So she had a real nefarious scheme here where she would just keep telling her daughter to kill herself and insulting her and the boyfriend. There was even this subplot that arose where she started to blame another classmate that could have been behind it. So she started to try and frame another child for this. It was fucking wild. And keep in mind, the mother was the one working so closely with the authorities to, I guess, throw them off of her trail. So this whole thing was kind of like that SpongeBob meme where it's like Maniac on the loose and he's on the walkie-talkie with the Maniac poster behind him with his face on it. That was this case in real life.
The Isabella County mom who catfished her own daughter for almost 2 years is going to prison. Kendra Licari was arrested in December for stalking her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend.
Now, I didn't mention a moment ago, but I will now, that it was more than just sending those really nasty messages. Apparently, Kendra Licari would even send her daughter doctored photos of herself. I guess, like, with really mean shit on it. It didn't go into detail, but I read one of the reports that it was more than just text. She would send photos, too. So I'm guessing she would, like, Photoshop shit with her daughter in there to, like, bully her further off of it. It's so baffling.
For nearly 2 years, she sent hundreds of harassing and obscene messages and pictures to the teens every day. It wasn't until the mother of the boyfriend and Licari herself went to police for help. That's when they discovered Licari was the one sending the messages. Police also found she tried to frame a third teen as the one sending those messages. Today in court, she was sentenced to up to 5 years in prison.
So she'll spend at least 19 months in prison for all of this. And what's even wilder is that there's still no explanation for why. What was her motive? Why would she do this? This is some huge fucking hater energy. She's waking up real early in the morning to have extra time to hate her own daughter. She would send up to 12 text messages a day, every day, all just shitting on her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend. It doesn't seem like there's anything to gain out of this except for making your daughter scared and miserable and potentially traumatizing her, because her daughter is a very young teenager during all of this. So I can't imagine what her motivation was, and she's never explained or elaborated on what the plan was. So I've seen speculation that people thought this was maybe another, like, Munchausen by proxy situation. If anyone is familiar with like the Gypsy Rose case, you're probably familiar with that term. But I don't know if that would necessarily even apply here. I really don't know. Maybe it is the mom trying to like isolate the daughter somehow by making her afraid of all of her classmates, or maybe trying to push the boyfriend out of her life. The whole thing is just a giant fucking question mark of why would anyone ever do this? And she did this every day for over a year. This was part of her morning routine. Get a nice cup of joe and shit on your daughter. Why? Maybe a power thing? Like maybe she was bullied in high school, so now she's trying to, do the same to like take that back. She's like passing the torch to herself to be the bully now. I don't get it. No one really does. And she has not said why. At least not from what I've found. All you can find is speculation and theories on what the motive could possibly be.
Isabella County Prosecutor David Barbary said this is one of the most confusing and complicated cases he has had to deal with. Not only from the case itself, Kendra Licari harassing and catfishing her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend for more than a year, but also when it came to sentencing. When it comes to sentencing, they hope to let the victims have a say. But the two victims here, Licari's daughter, she's hoping for leniency. She didn't want to feel responsible for putting her mom in prison. The other victim, her boyfriend, their family wanted the book thrown at Licari.
That's another super fucked up component to all of this, because not only was the daughter the victim of this relentless harassment campaign from her own mother, but now her mother is going to be going away to prison because of all of it. So now she's going to be growing up without her mom around for quite some time. It's just a really sad situation. I don't know why the mom did this, and also why she refuses to elaborate on what she was fucking thinking. She openly admitted to all of it, and she apologized saying she doesn't want to hurt anybody else, but she still has never said why she did it in the first place and continued doing it for so long. It just, I don't understand. Maybe she was like, beta testing her shit talk for her League of Legends solo queue games, so she'd like use her daughter as a guinea pig. Like, let's see how my daughter reacts when I tell her this. Not enough tears. I'm gonna have to go harder. I need to make sure that all the dog shit players in my lobby feel really bad. I need to make sure my trash talk is S tier. But anyway, she pled guilty to 2 counts of stalking a minor, and she's going to prison for some time now. And it's just a really weird situation, obviously, but it merely makes you think. Your biggest hater, who exactly are they? It could be anyone. And don't give me any of that mumbo-jumbo baloney about how everyone loves you, you don't have haters. You do. I'll hit you with the cold water. Even if there was a perfect person that existed, they would have haters because they are perfect. They would hate them for that. So no matter what, I promise you there are people that don't like you. And who are they? This story makes you think. Makes you sit back and go, it really could be anyone. What if the person that's replying to all of your tweets saying awful things like, you're so short, why'd you end up so short, dummy, stupid face, greasy little goblin man? What if that person is actually my own mother? Or father? What if they're both in on it? What if they both have alt accounts where they're constantly spamming my shit, pointing out every insecurity that I could possibly ever have? Could be. You never know, as is clear here. So yeah, anyway, that's really about it. So yeah. Have you ever been bullied? I'm assuming all of you said yes to that, because pretty much everyone in the world at some point in their lives has been made fun of for something. But if you're someone who said no, you're most likely a liar. Or the coolest person on the planet, you're very fortunate. God bless you, I suppose. But it's time you start getting bullied, so I'll go ahead and be your first experience with it. Fuck you, stupid face. Now we're all on an even playing field. So I'm sure, like I said, all of us have experienced, in one way or another, being made fun of by our peers. But I think what very few of us have experienced is being bullied by the person who gave us life.
I am so pissy today. Just downright motherfuckers today.
This lady who kicks off this rant with a Chewbacca screech is an OnlyFans model who has a child. And she's about to go on this big spiel about how her child being sick at school has cock-blocked her. And she just starts insulting her own flesh and blood. Admittedly, I'm also a bit confused on what she even means when she says she's downright motherfuckers today. Am I out of touch or is she the problem? I don't get what that means. It seems like she's just desperately trying to be like quirky.
I had to come up here. I had to come up here at fucking 11 o'clock in the afternoon. That's prime time. That's prime time. If you know what I mean.
She goes nonverbal there for a moment and starts spamming Fortnite emotes, but don't worry, I'm picking up what she's putting down here. So she's complaining that she's now had to go all the way out here at 11 o'clock in the afternoon, which immediately is news to me. I didn't know 11 o'clock made it to the afternoon. Feels like it probably shouldn't meet that criteria, but who am I to question such an intellectual? But she's upset because apparently 11 o'clock is prime time coitus. Which again, very enlightening information for me. My third eye is being forced open here to the truth. 11 o'clock feels like it'd be one of the most inconvenient times to schedule your fucking bedroom ham sandwich appointments. It feels like that's right in like the middle of the workday for a lot of normal people. It's also just generally early for such debauchery. But who am I to be questioning this? She's upset because it's now intruded upon her having sex. And now she's inconvenienced and she's irate.
But listen, so that's partly why I'm cranky, but I'm cranky because my child is 10. I had to come up to the school and I had to pick him up. Why? Why did I have to fucking pick this kid up? I had to pick this kid up because he's a man, okay? He's a little man and he's got a weak ass stomach like fucking most men do.
She gets so heated that her eyes start going cross during this. He's not a little man. He's a little kid. He's 10 years old. He's a boy. And he was puking. It makes sense that the school would call the mother to come pick up the kid because he puked a few times. Can you imagine being the kid and seeing your mom just flaming you online in a viral rant? Like, that's gotta be downright diabolical to experience. Especially if, like, his classmates see it. That'll just be infinite ammunition to use against him anytime they want to make him feel bad. Just bring up that his mom insults him publicly online. It also feels so weird hearing his actual mother refer to him as this kid. That's like something you used to say on Xbox Live during some Call of Duty shit talking. Oh, this kid's just fucking camping NoobTube one-man army. Coward. Like, I don't know why she, like, harbors such disdain for him here over something he can't control. Puking.
So somebody busted ass in the library. He threw up not one time, not two times, but 3 times in the library. Literally the nurse calls and she's like, you're gonna have to come pick up your son because he just vomited 3 times in the library, like exorcist style, all over the place. Why? He's not even sick. Some kid farted next to him and he said that it made his stomach feel bad.
She tries to channel her inner Jim Carrey here for the comedy of the video. And I'm not entirely sure if this is real or not, this story she's telling, or if she's just trying to put on some kind of performance. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you try and dilute cringe, it's still cringe. The result will be the same here. She does have a child, and you are using him as the punchline of your joke, assuming this is all just a made-up story. And if anyone in his schools, from his class, sees this, they will undoubtedly make fun of him for it, because you are making fun of him. I remember when I was growing up, I used to get made fun of for being short, or actually there was a period in 4th grade where there was one guy in particular who used to make fun of me for having really red lips, so he called me Lipstick Boy. He was the only one that made fun of me in that manner, but for some reason that really struck a chord and it made me feel terrible. I couldn't imagine then going home and like hopping on TikTok and seeing my mom be like, my son just fucking puked 3 times because someone let out a stinky fart. What a weak boy. What a weak little man. And it makes me upset because I was about to fuck. I was about to have some naughty sex. And now I've got my stupid son who needs to get picked up from school. What a waste of time and what a waste of space that kid is. It's like, Jesus, that would hurt on such an unbelievably profound level. It would actually hurt more if this is a fake story. Like, Mom, why are you lying about me just to dunk on me for internet points? Like, Jesus, why are you treating me like a punching bag? And, of course, I'd go into school the next day, afraid, looking over my own shoulder, like, every step of the way down the hallway, wondering who's going to insult me if they happen to see my mom's viral video.
So I have to interrupt my day because some kid's got a rank asshole? That's a new kind of skip block. What? That's some bullshit. And I was like, does he have to pick it up? Like, can it be like an hour? Can we like work something out? And he was like, he needs to be picked up immediately because he threw up.
I really don't get why she tries to censor herself. So instead of saying cock block, she just puts up the C and then like, I don't know, stop sign. I actually don't really know what that was. A fucking force push at the camera. But like she does like mouth the words cock block, and I don't know why she doesn't just say it with her whole chest. She says bullshit, she says fuck. Like, it's not as though she's censoring bad words or anything. So what is the point in all of these huge, exaggerated Pixar animation gestures when talking about you having to leave getting piped to pick up your kid? I don't really understand the point of that.
He threw up because he has a weak stomach. What about the kid who busted ass so fucking bad that he cleared out an entire goddamn library? That seems like a problem. He seems like he should get some medical attention. Not my kid.
Busted ass doesn't mean what you think it means, lady. It doesn't refer to farting. It refers to falling and hurting yourself. That's when you bust ass. What you're looking for, what you're trying to use, is ripping ass. Ripping ass is what you're trying to describe here. You're not even using the correct terminology. You're not using the preferred scientific nomenclature to refer to this incident.
Not my kid who's just got a weak stomach. Damn. It's not, I'm gonna Kool-Aid man through the side of a wall today. That's what I'm gonna do. Yep, I'm gonna do because I'm pent up and I got a lot of aggression.
Here's what I think. I think at some level this story has true elements, but it's embellished for the sake of her being able to exaggerate because she thought it would make for a silly video that TikTok would gobble up. But I don't know why she thought it would go over well. At the core of this story she's telling, it's she's having sex, has to stop having sex because her child is puking at school, and she's insulting her child for that. It's a horrible look for you. This is not a story you'd ever share if it was true, because it would be embarrassing and make you look like an very uncaring mom. But if it's fake, it makes you look like an attention-seeking clout chaser that will use their kid as a stepping stool, like a fucking doormat, for some clout. There's just no winners with whatever your plan was with this video. Regardless of the authenticity of the story told here, at the very least, it is cringe. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. I've recently been on a streak of sharing good news with all of you. Positive, silly, or wholesome things. But just like my wrist when I was 15 playing in a wiffle ball game, it's time to break it. I have to share this story here. The streak is coming to an end. How many of you know the name Christopher Schultz? I imagine not that many of you, unless maybe you see him in the comments section on Pornhub or something. He is a deplorable degenerate, worst dad of the year. Earlier this year, he killed his 2-year-old daughter by leaving her in a hot car. 109 degrees. She was left in the car for 3 hours so he could go inside and do some online shopping and watch porn. And also played some video games, no doubt bottom fragging in whatever game he was playing, and for 3 hours, he left his daughter in the car to die.
So I'm being treated like a murderer?
No.
I just lost my video.
Not at all. I know that. And I know this isn't easy for you. That's why I'm trying to be straightforward and honest with you, okay?
Not the most convincing performance with these crocodile tears he tried to squeak out. His eyes couldn't really get moisturized at all there. So probably not the strongest performer in his high school thespian troupe, but he does look like the kind of guy who still talks about the high school glory days of being an offensive lineman in the state championship. This guy has a history of being a fucking mess and putting his kids in danger.
My whole family, like my whole family's gonna be ruined.
We'll be alright. So we can't let you do that right now. We have to stand by with you. Okay? As soon as you can, we will let you
You
know.
can stay in the room if you want, but I'm gonna talk.
I know this isn't easy for you, but the quicker we get this done and finished up, the sooner you can be with your wife. Alright?
I'm trying
need
to
stand
rinse
by
off
with you.
so I can go to the
I know,
hospital
but
and be with my wife.
we're not going to shower or anything right now. You need to stand by.
He got over the death of his daughter very fast. Now he's focused on practicing good hygiene, probably for the first time in his life, because this dude is a complete fucking rotten slob. He has a history of being a drunk and also driving while intoxicated, allegedly. It's unknown if he was intoxicated during this moment here. There's no conclusive evidence of it, but just giving it the old eyeball test here, it seems like he is. Like, I'm sniffing it, and it smells like this guy's fucking hammered. Like, the way he can barely keep his eyes open, the way that he's kind of, like, unsteady on his feet, he kind of wobbles a little bit like Oswald Cobblepot. He, to me, seems intoxicated. But, of course, I'm not an expert. I didn't come over there and fucking breathalyze him or anything. I'm just telling you what my little peepers are looking at here with the evidence, and that's my impression. He actually looks like a caricature of an alcoholic you'd find in a cartoon. Like he'd be a regular at the Family Guy's Drunken Clam.
I don't understand why.
Okay, to you. We just need to stand by
And
with
I'm
you.
standing by. Why can't I take
I
a
know.
shower while you stand by? What is...
It's not necessary right now. I'm not going to stand here and watch you shower. There'll be time for that, but it's not right now, okay?
Now, this happened earlier this year, and his charges have been upgraded to first-degree murder. And the reason for that is, he claimed that he left his daughter in the car because she was sleeping and he didn't want to wake her. But it turns out he has a history of irresponsible and dangerous behavior towards his children, including previously leaving them in cars. And in this case, he said he left the car running, but that he also knew that the car had a safety feature that would turn off the engine after 30 minutes. He said he knew from previous experience. He also tried to claim that he got home at 2 p.m. in order to make it seem like it wasn't that long with her trapped inside of the vehicle. But surveillance camera footage confirms he got home at 12:53 p.m., so the girl was in the car for 3 hours. It wasn't until his wife got home at 4 p.m. that her unconscious body was recovered. So his weaselly, slimy little story doesn't work, and he openly admits that he knew the car would turn off. Now, they're trying to claim that he forgot the child's in the car, saying, like, this kind of thing happens, people just forget their kid in the car. And I guess that is true, because for as long as I can remember, probably for as long as cars have existed, there have been hundreds and thousands of reports of kids and pets dying in hot vehicles because the people were too stupid to recognize that you shouldn't do that, that that's a bad thing. So yeah, I know that is correct. People do forget their kid in the car sometimes, but that's not a good excuse. That's for the most dangerously moronic of society, and I don't think that that somehow should, be okay. Like, they made a boo-boo, what a mistake, a whoops-a-daisy moment. We can't throw them in jail for that. Yes, you should. That is too stupid to be allowed in society. You are a danger to the people around you for being such a fucking idiot. Like, I think that is not a good defense at all. Even if that is the case. I don't know if he planned to kill his daughter here. There's no way I'd be able to tell. But regardless, his irresponsible, dangerous actions led to her death. That is an irrefutable fact. And he needs to face the harshest possible consequences for that. And there's a lot of messages that confirm that this guy is just a complete fucking menace. You haven't shown me you can stop putting the girls in danger or not treat me badly. Even yesterday, you drove home drunk with 2 minors. I've been asking for 3 years to cut back and it's actually gotten worse. You replaced cocaine with alcohol. He repeatedly put their children in danger over and over again. Also, apparently shoplifted beer, 2 or 3 cans at a time. So this guy was just fucking boofing beer cans on his way out, just putting them in his prison wallet and shuffling away, I suppose. And there was also numerous incidents where children were wandering around the neighborhood unsupervised without Schultz knowing they were out of the house. On the day of the child's death, the police gave a timeline. The 2-year-old had been in the car for more than an hour and 10 minutes when Schultz began browsing the internet. A computer search shows over half an hour. He visited a shopping site, then spent 5 minutes watching pornography videos. No one removed the child and tried to save her until her mother came home at around 4:15 p.m. About 3.5 hours after police say surveillance cameras saw Christopher Schultz park the car and walk away. Also, according to his other 2 children, he had got distracted putting food away and playing video games. So that's like the whole timeline here. This disgusting Cro-Magnon made the inexplicable decision to leave his daughter in the car because she was sleeping and didn't want to wake her for whatever reason, claimed he left the car running even while knowing that the car would shut off in 30 minutes, goes inside to do a little shopping, probably picking up a few nipple clamps for himself off Amazon, and then watches 5 minutes of porn, so he must have seen one boobie and busted, and then spent the rest of the time putting food away and playing video games. All the while, his daughter was dying in that car. What a piece of shit. And again, this isn't like a freak accident from this guy. He has a history of this kind of dangerous behavior with his children. And here's another text message to confirm it. On the day the child died, the mother on the way to the hospital with daughter texts him and says, "I told you to stop leaving them in the car. How many times have I told you?" He replied, "Babe, I'm sorry." So he has done this a lot. It's been confirmed by many others that Christopher Schultz left his kids in the car pretty frequently. I'm also going to throw this in here because I found it kind of sad when reading about this. Schultz's wife spoke during his appearance in court where he's pleading not guilty to the charges, and she spoke saying that she wants him back home with their other children to begin the grieving process. She also said he is not a risk to the community. He's a risk to everyone. There is repeated behavior that endangered your children, and it led to the 2-year-old daughter dying. And it was pretty obvious from the body cam footage that there wouldn't be any grieving on the behalf of Christopher Schultz. It doesn't really seem like he cared all that much. How could someone who actually cared about his children constantly drunk drive with them or leave them in hot cars so much that you have told him tons of times to stop doing that? That is not the actions of someone who cares. That is the actions of an evil piece of shit. And it seems like she's going to be sticking by his side, which I just do find sad. I'm not like blaming her or anything, because I understand when you've been with someone for so long, it's very hard to come to terms with something like this happening. But she mentioned how he treats her badly and constantly goes against her advice of keeping the children safe. He did the most irresponsible and dangerous shit with his kids frequently. This is not someone that should ever see the light of day again. Schultz also has a 16-year-old from a previous relationship who spoke out about this, saying that Schultz would leave her alone inside of the car sometimes for hours since she was as young as 7. It makes plenty of sense. Actually, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. Once I had to go sit out in the car for 4 to 5 hours and continuously had to restart the car and had only eaten once that day. Like, this is someone who has no regard for human life outside of his own. He, from what I can tell, and this is me just on the outside looking in, it seems like this guy really viewed children as a burden or a nuisance, so any opportunity he had to, like, distance himself from them, he would take. And that would be leaving them in the car so he could go inside and watch porn and play games without having children around to bother him or something. That's the impression I get from this. There is no other explanation for this reckless behavior and this endangering of his children. She described that period as a nightmare, saying that it changed her as a person and she'll never be the same as she was before she moved into that house, and that it got so bad in 2021 she tried to take her own life because she didn't want to live with her father. Child Protective Services got involved and Schultz lost custody of her. This man has a complete disregard for the well-being of his children. This is not the case of a good man making one mistake. This is the case of a bad man making tons and tons of mistakes until it costs someone their life. I truly don't believe that this is some kind of forgivable accident, that it just slipped his mind his daughter was still in the car after it had turned off. This is someone that should face the maximum possible sentence here. I don't know if they'll actually get first-degree murder charges to stick on him here. I'm not a fucking lawyer, but I'm sure there will be some charges that will stick in this case, and I hope that it carries a huge, huge prison sentence. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's it.